Good evening, everybody. This is Casper from the Tropical Weather Threat Society bringing you our normal nightly update. And as we could see, Melissa is still being a major thorn in the people, in the side of the people that live out here into the southwestern and southern central Bahamas. A considerable amount of rain and some really, really cold cloud tops associated with this burst of thunderstorms here on the downshear side. That would represent big time rain, big time rainfall, uh, big time winds. I'm sure that there is a surge issue ongoing out here. And when we get into the forecast track, I'll actually be able to kind of show where the winds are and exactly what we're looking at down there. At least we don't have radar, so unfortunately, all we can use is the remote sensing here from the satellite, and it looks quite intense, folks. I'm not going to lie. When we're dealing with, whoa, what happened there? When we're dealing with down here on the white part of the scale, these are extraordinarily cold cloud tops, which just means very vigorous thunderstorms. All right, as of the 5 p.m. advisory, we are currently located at 22.9 north, 74.8 west, about 80 miles southeast of the central Bahamas, and about 890 miles southwest of Bermuda. Maximum sustained winds have come down to 90 miles an hour. Current movement is northeast or 35 degrees at 16 miles an hour, with a minimum central pressure that is held steady throughout the day at 974 millibars. Changes with this advisory. The government of Cuba has discontinued all hurricane and tropical storm warnings for all of their provinces. That's at least now the recovery can begin. And the tropical storm warning in effect for Haiti has been discontinued. So, some very significantly and quite devastatingly impacted countries have been able to discontinue their warnings. And that is a great sign that the recovery can at least begin. I know it didn't, Melissa did not hit Haiti directly, but they caught a tremendous amount of rain in that southwestern peninsula as Melissa was just barely crawling uh, near and south of Jamaica, that eastern side, and especially with the mountainous terrain there, really got hit hard. So, yeah, even though it didn't hit Haiti, the effects of Melissa were far reaching uh, across the Caribbean for sure. We still have a hurricane warning in effect for the southeastern and central Bahamas and Bermuda. And we also have a tropical storm warning in effect for the Turks and Caicos. Now, let's see here. Where is it? I know that they said that they had the estimated central pressure of 974. A private weather station at Buckley Settlement on Long Island recently reported a pressure of 978.4 millibars. So, it's certainly there. Hurricane force winds extend outward up to 60 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend outward of 185 miles. A private weather station at Pittstown on Crooked Island recently reported a sustained wind of 69 miles an hour and a wind gust of 82 miles an hour. So, 4 hour hazards affecting land and our wind. Hurricane conditions are occurring within the warning area in the southeastern and central Bahamas and should continue through tonight. Tropical storm conditions are ongoing in the Turks and Caicos Islands and should continue through tonight. Hurricane conditions are now expected on Bermuda late Thursday and Thursday night, with tropical storm conditions expected earlier on Thursday. 4-hour rainfall. Over the southeast Bahamas, storm total rainfall of 5 to 10 inches are expected through Thursday morning, which will result in areas of flash flooding for the Turks and Caicos. Rainfall totals of 1 to 3 inches are expected. Heavy rain may begin to affect Bermuda on Thursday or Thursday night. Over southern Hispaniola, additional rainfall of 1 to 2 inches through this evening, with storm total local maxima of 40 inches possible. For eastern Cuba, the rainfall has subsided. However, additional scattered showers are expected through this evening, with additional rainfall amounts of 1 to 2 inches, with storm total rainfall of 10 to 20 inches, possibly up to 25 inches over mountainous terrain. The ongoing life-threatening and potentially catastrophic flash flooding and landslides will likely persist into the evening. For our storm surge, we are looking at 4 to 7 feet above normally dry ground in the southeastern Bahamas today, and minor coastal flooding possible here in the Turks and Caicos today. As far as our surf is concerned, it should not need to be said, but we will say it again. Please stay out of the water. For our forecasters discussion, as you can see, Dr. Papin is back, and we get a very, very detailed and thorough discussion. So we'll go ahead and read it here tonight. Melissa showing some signs of convective recovery after weakening a little more from the land interaction with Cuba. After looking quite ragged after emerging off of Cuba, convection is redeveloping on its upshear flank and showing signs of wrapping around the center again. Aircraft fixes from the Air Force Hurricane Hunter mission also show that the hurricane is beginning to accelerate to the northeast. Peak 700 millibar flight level winds were 87 knots, both to the east and northeast of the center, and the minimum central pressure was unchanged from this morning at around 974 millibars. The mission also indicated a much larger eye wall with an eye diameter of 40 nautical miles, using a standard 0.9 reduction from the 700 millibar wind yields, a maximum sustained winds of 80 knots for this advisory, which is also in between the TAB and SAB subjective Dorvac intensity estimates. Aircraft and scatterometer data were used to expand some of the wind radii associated with Melissa this afternoon. Another Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter mission is scheduled for this evening, and they are on their way. The hurricane continues to gradually accelerate this afternoon, with the motion currently estimated at 35 degrees and 14 knots. Not much has changed with the track reasoning this afternoon, as Melissa is beginning to be captured in the flow between an amplified trough swinging into the southeastern United States and a mid-level ridge centered to the east of the tropical cyclone. This motion will bring Melissa across the southeastern and central Bahamas through the evening. The track models continue to remain clustered on the center of Melissa, passing just northwest of Bermuda late Thursday and Thursday night, though the enlarging wind radii will likely cause hurricane conditions to be experienced near or on the island. The track guidance this cycle remains in fairly good agreement, and only subtle changes to the track forecast were made this cycle, sticking close to a blend of the HCCA and Google DeepMind ensemble mean. It is also worth noting that the forecast track does allow take Melissa, okay, we got a typo, close to the southeastern tip of Newfoundland, but as a post-tropical, extratropical cyclone. While Melissa has weakened substantially in the past 24 hours due to land interactions from the high terrain of Jamaica and Cuba, the global and hurricane regional models continue to suggest it has a short-term window to re-intensify while it remains over sufficiently warm 27 to 28 degrees Celsius sea surface temperatures. While the vertical wind shear is starting to increase over the hurricane, it is in the same direction as the current accelerating motion. And the current satellite structure suggests that the convection is not having any issues wrapping around the circulation. In addition, the accelerating forward motion might have the net effect of increasing the maximum wind speeds in the southeastern flank of Melissa. Finally, the hurricane finds itself positioned in the right entrance region of a jet streak located over the northeastern United States, which may aid in upper level divergence over the system before the shear becomes prohibitively strong. Thus, the NHC intensity forecast does show some modest intensification over the next 24 hours, and it is worth noting that this forecast is a little lower than some of the hurricane regional models, HAVS-B, HWRF, and HMON, that suggest it could re-intensify into a major hurricane. Once the hurricane approaches the north wall of the Gulf Stream in 48 hours, extratropical transition will likely be well underway, with most models suggesting it completing this process between 48 to 60 hours. The NHC intensity forecast is a little on the high side of the overall guidance envelope. And as you can see here, maybe back up to 105 with the official intensity forecast, but we will have to wait and see. Like the hurricane, a few of those hurricane regional models potentially calling for it to reattain minimal Category 3 status. So, being that we just read that, I went ahead and pulled up Brian Tang's site here from the University of Albany, and we got a look here at the official intensity forecast. I'm not going to worry about track. Track is pretty much set in stone. It's more in line of the intensity. So if we go to the HCCA intensity, it really doesn't show much re-intensification at all. If we take a look at the IVCN, the same with the consensus. It really doesn't show much for re-intensification at all. But if we go to the HWRF, it does show some potential re-intensification, maybe more than just a low end, very low end or minimal Category 3, maybe getting up to 120. Who knows? Miles an hour, that is. That remains to be seen. The HMON also shows a quick spike here, getting it back into the Category 3 and then beginning to plummet as the shear takes over. HAVS-A does not show this getting back to a Category 3. Shows it does re-intensify a little bit, but not a lot. And then HAVS-B is the one that shows it to where it kind of levels off for a little bit and then shoots up during the overnight hours during its diurnal cycle, and then kind of levels off a little bit and then begins to plummet out. All right, our track forecast. As you can see, our areas here, Turks and Caicos, you are definitely, the area here in our darker green colors represent our tropical storm force winds. The light green colors represent our 50-knot winds, and then our orange color represents the hurricane force wind field. As you can see, there are quite a few people that are taking some damaging winds. You can consider these 50-knot, 58-mile-an-hour winds to be the start of those damaging winds. So anybody within this yellowish green or bright green circle, and including the orange, are receiving some significant winds right now. And storm surge will definitely be accompanied with those winds. If we scroll out and we let the track come into play, we could see that Bermuda does have that hurricane warning, and the track is not there. But again, the effects and the impacts of this system can usually always will be felt outside the cone of uncertainty. This is just for the center of the track itself. The center of circulation has nothing to do with the overall impacts itself. And then as we go up here, St. John's here in Newfoundland, you are now within the cone of uncertainty. So folks up here in the Maritime Canadian region, I believe this is the Avalon Peninsula, please keep a very close watch on Melissa. It will be post-tropical by the time that it reaches you, but it's going to pack a punch, as we saw here in the discussion. 70, 65 mile an hour winds, that's going to pack a punch. Granted, I'm sure you've seen worse, but I'm also sure that it's still going to pack a punch. So please be prepared for that. Now, if we take a look at the 18Z spaghetti plots, I will highlight Bermuda because it is kind of difficult to see. We will put a little circle on Bermuda, is right there. And as you can see, there is some decent track agreements. Through about 48 hours, we start to get a little bit of divergence, a little bit starting to spread out. And then by the time we get to 72 hours, okay, let's figure out what we're going to do, where we're going to go. But by that time, it's well past land, out here into the open waters of the northern Atlantic and off to the history books and the record books on top of that. Our wind speed probabilities, as you all know, we've been going through these over and over again. This shows our trends. And as we can see for San Salvador, a tropical storm force winds, absolutely 99%. Our 50-knot winds are 97%, and then our hurricane force winds are 62%. So impacts definitely there in San Salvador. Mayaguana, you have tropical storm force winds, but those 50-knot winds have a very, very low percentage. Looking into Bermuda, we have 83% chance of those tropical storm force winds, and then a 38% chance of those 50-knot winds, and an 8% chance of seeing those hurricane force winds. Now, granted, I know that they're under a hurricane warning, but you also have to keep in mind that they are an archipelago, and hurricane conditions are likely to not be very far offshore if it doesn't impact the island itself or the islands. But the hurricane force wind field won't really be offshore very far. Now, for Cape Race and Newfoundland, you have a 61% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds and a 25% chance of seeing those 50 knot or 58 mile an hour winds, with a 7% chance of seeing those hurricane force winds, although by that time it would be post-tropical. Now, I want to kind of go over one thing here, and it's a part of the wind speed probability. All we see here are just a few islands. Well, there are more islands involved than just that. So if we zoom in, here is San Salvador, and we're going to turn the cone off. San Salvador is going to likely see these hurricane force winds. It's likely. It's not, it's not a guarantee, but it's likely. They are definitely going to see these 50 knot winds. But then look here, Rum Cay, Long Island, Crooked Island, taking that right front quadrant. Acklands, taking that right front quadrant. So these folks, even though their wind speed probabilities are not listed, they are certainly taking a beating here this afternoon. And this island is, we'll call this Mystery Island. Samana Cay. Okay. We had to zoom all the way in to get it to populate it. All right. Let's jump over. We've got our... first, let's take a look at the forecast advisory. I do want to point out here that the overall wind field will begin to expand here in the eastern side as we get close to Bermuda. We'll highlight these two right here. You can see that our 64 knot winds right here and right there are expanding in their quadrants. Doesn't expand in the northwest, but the southwestern side expands. The southeastern side expands considerably, and the northeastern side maintains. But as this goes by Bermuda, it's that southeastern side. Does the wind field expand enough to be able to impact the island? That's a little unknown right now. Low percentages at the moment, but certainly not out of the question. Therefore, a hurricane warning has been issued. You're always going to issue on the error of on the side of caution. You'd rather go too much than not enough. You always want people to be prepared. Our rainfall forecast. We have finally gotten rid of any of the low confidence. There is no low confidence. It is nice to finally see this graphic that has solid information, and we're good to go. It's been days since we've seen this graphic that has that doesn't contain lower confidence. As you can see, we have a large area here associated anywhere from 4 to 8 inches. 5 to 10 was called for there on the National Hurricane Center's forecast advisory and the hazards affecting land. And as you could see, a widespread area of at least 4 to 8 inches, looking anywhere between 100 and 200 millimeters as this continues to race off to the northeast. And hurry up, get out of the Atlantic, please. Just go. Enough with this storm. I've seen, and I've got a video for y'all before I end from the Prime Minister of Jamaica, and it is his afternoon flyover, and I'm gonna let that play for a minute. I don't necessarily like to see that kind of stuff, but I think it's important for folks to understand the true raw devastation and power that this storm had. It's unbelievable. So, for our key messages. Number 1, Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos. Hurricane conditions, life-threatening storm surge, and heavy rainfall are expected across portions of the southeastern and central Bahamas through this evening. Remain sheltered until local officials deem it safe to venture out. Tropical storm conditions, heavy rains, and significant storm surge are expected in the Turks and Caicos Island through this evening. For Bermuda, hurricane conditions and heavy rainfall are expected in Bermuda beginning late Thursday and continuing through Thursday night. And for post-storm safety, for the recovery processes, follow advice of local officials as you may need to remain sheltered after the storm due to downed power lines and flooded areas. Ensure generators are properly ventilated and placed outside at least 20 feet away from dwellings and garages to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning. During cleanup, be careful when using chainsaws and power tools and ladders. Please drink plenty of water to avoid heat exhaustion. All right, we just got to refresh over here. Let's hit it. Yeah, not a lot to really discuss here. We had our shear from earlier coming up to 21 knots, though it is deemed a little bit older. I am certainly not trusting the advanced door back technique with this because we know that it's not there. D-print has been quite accurate with the at least what the hurricane hunters are finding. And right now, 81 knots. It's currently 90 miles an hour. Minimum central pressure of 974. It's reading 972. So, it's I would say it is at least viable at that point. It's certainly not a forecast, certainly not a determination of exactly what it is, but it's pretty close to what we had. So it seems like it would be at least enough to reference until the hurricane reconnaissance get into the storm. Now we've got here cyclonic WX, and as you can see, we have the Air Force, the Hurricane Hunter aircraft currently approaching southern Haiti here. Will go over the peninsula and will begin to try to get closer to the storm and get us some readings, but we won't see that for at least, hopefully, well, they'll definitely have at least an update for the 8 p.m. Intermediate advisory. So please, again, as a reminder, follow your official sources. Make sure you are listening to your local officials and your local meteorological agencies for the latest and the most up-to-date information that you have with a local knowledge on your area. Please make sure you follow that. As you can see, we have the Bahamas, and if we scroll down, you can always, page not found. Let's try that again. There we go. And as you can see, this just came out at 6 p.m. They are still, they are still putting out bulletins and putting out plenty of information. So please, like I said, follow your official sources. Cannot stress that enough. For Bermuda, again, hurricane warning. You guys know, as reading the discussion, it is going to be a little close. It'll be a close call. There's going to be some variables that may not be able to be ironed out until the last minute. But tropical storm force winds, yes, that is going to be I would say that is almost a guarantee. As far as looking out, the Global Tropics Hazards Outlook, I know that everything has been going on with Melissa, so this may, kind of go under the radar. So the Global Tropics Hazards Outlook yesterday released their outlooks for weeks 2 and 3 that show a low chance of development here into portions of the Western Caribbean for weeks 2 and 3. Okay, so again, it's a low chance. So let's go look at what we've got. As far as the MJO is concerned here, from the GFS and the ensembles, we're not really seeing a lot. It's not like it's trying to rapidly get itself onto the other side of the planet. It is currently kind of stuck over there on the other side of the world, and that is not a bad thing. Now, if we look at the empirical wave propagation, so this is winds at the 200 millibar level, whether you're going to get the sinking air or the rising air, just to put it in more of a layman's terms. Now, as we can see, we start to get a little bit of that rising air maybe in and around the middle of November. Okay, we can go with that. We know that this is going to wrap back around. The GFS does not agree with that, by the way. Though we could see it kind of fall into the circle there and maybe try to take the quick way to get back out on our side of the world. So, I want to take a look at the models, and we're going to roll the ensembles. Now, yesterday, and I'll drop this back one 24-hour period. If you remember what we showed yesterday, there was a line here, line there, low chance, 6-8%. Well, if we look at it today, there's no percent at this point in time, and everything is compressed and smashed down here off the coast of Panama, Costa Rica, and Nicaragua into the extreme southwestern portions of the Caribbean. Okay, that would make sense. So, and that's through the next 10 days. I'm not going to go into La La Land because, well, it's La La Land. We all know it's fantasy after we're struggling to keep credibility and skill at this time frame at 10 days. We're definitely not going to go any further. Now, if we compare that with the GEFS, we'll drop this here into day 7, and then we'll run it forward to day 10. There are a couple lines, but I do need to remind folks that the American model, the GFS and the GEFS, will over amplify moisture and thunderstorm activity, especially into parts of the Caribbean. We saw that clearly over and over again, run after run after run, with Melissa. It kept calling for Melissa to really get strong in those first couple days, and that it was going to just get a hold of that first trough and rock it over Hispaniola and out into the southwestern Atlantic. That never materialized, obviously, because of what we're still talking about it now, and it has caused great devastation to Jamaica, and I'm sure come tomorrow we're going to start to see some videos and information coming out of Cuba, and also starting to come out of the Bahamas, and potentially coming out of Haiti and the Dominican Republic as well. I can tell you that the entire central portion of the Caribbean have taken one massive beating, big time, no doubt about it. And could very well be labeled as one of the strongest, well, the strongest landfall ever known. And right now it's tied in the Atlantic Basin. And it could, depending on some post-storm analysis and stuff like that, it could either tie the overall wind speed record in the Atlantic, with sustained winds at 190 miles an hour that came all the way back in 1980 with Hurricane Allen. So, and again, this is 10 days. This is the Euro. We don't see anything. This is Euro AI. I'm sorry. The AI model is like, no, there's absolutely nothing there. I did, and I'm not going to push it all the way out to La La Land, but I did push these out to La La Land, and there's still nothing there even once I go into La La Land. Now, with the Google DeepMind, as you can see here, I'm going to zoom in so we can get close to Bermuda if I can find it again. Come on. Where did you go? There you are. I knew you had to load soon. So, as you could see, there are some ensemble members that get it close. The ensemble mean is way out here to the north and to the west. So, it's going to be kind of close. Maybe. And we do see some potential intensification from the Google DeepMind, getting it back to Cat 3, and a few of them maybe even re-attaining Category 4. We're looking at 16% at its highest. For the Category 3, it seems more likely than not from the Google DeepMind. And look, if they're saying that that is what the intensity is going to be, Cat 2, Cat 3 is the likely scenario there. I'm going with what the Google DeepMind is going to say as far as intensity is concerned. I shared some verification models with the team earlier this afternoon, and it's not even close, folks. It's not even close. The Google DeepMind wiped the floor with people. It's bad. I mean, it's okay. Hold on. I got a way to show it to you. The green line is the Google DeepMind. The closer you are to the bottom, the better you have performed. I'm telling you, it's not even close. It's not even close. Complete dog walking of those other models when it comes to the intensity. And this is comparing them to all the other AI models. And even if you were to compare them to our traditional and global models, it's not close. Google DeepMind for the win this year. Oh, my daughter is in chat. Oh, look at that. All right. Oh, daughter. And she's in chat bragging about her homecoming game tickets. I'm going to block her. I'm going to block her. She got tickets to the Alabama game. She got tickets to the... Yeah, see, there it is. Alabama, Miami, and homecoming. Like, child, I'm going to block you. You keep it up. I'm going to block you. I don't even want to listen to all this. You get all these tickets because you go to FSU, and then you get all the good games. And I'm going to block you and change the locks on the door. Damn it. So, looking at our deterministic models, I'm just kidding, folks. I'm just kidding, so please don't think that I'm going to block my daughter or change the locks on the door. Only reason that she put that in our executive chat with the weather team is just to poke at me, James, and anybody else that will take the bait and be like, you suck. And that's all she wants to hear. And if she were to be in chat and right now and hear what I'm saying on the live, I would be getting lit up in the Facebook chat. There's no doubt about it. She has no idea that I'm talking about it. But she'll find out when I'm done. So, taking a look at our deterministic runs, obviously Melissa is kind of set in stone with its track. As you can see there on that front right portion of that low pressure there into the northeast, that is what could potentially give it a little bit of upper level divergence and the opportunity for some strengthening. And then if I run this out, you'll see that there is a little bit of turning down here, which is expected that time of year. Moves into land, and we really don't have much to worry about that. Just kind of continues right along with the trade winds. A lot of frontal boundaries will be moving through at this time of the year. And if we look here on our humidity models, we've got the Euro on the left and the GFS on the right. Oh, and I apologize. That was the previous screen as well. We've got our 500 millibar on the top, our 700 millibar on the bottom. So this is looking for the moisture and the dry air in between around 10,000 to 18,000 feet above the ocean surface or above sea level. Our browns represent our dry air, our greens represent our moisture, and though I do know that the GFS, again, wants to kind of over amplify moisture in the Caribbean. So it is a little bit, it's a little better idea to give the Euro a little bit more credence. I wouldn't say trust it, but to give it a little bit more justification compared to what we will see with the GFS. And by the time that we get this out to 240 hours, we see complete changes and differences between the two models. The Euro has a developing low pressure out here, a potential banger out here into the western side of the Gulf with a lot of dry air that stretches all the way down, getting way down into the Caribbean. Pretty much a dominant feature at that point with another little, wave that is coming off and trying to make it across. Again, they continue to roll, but you've got to look for the proper environment for in which them to exist. And the GFS is always going to try to spin something up this time of year in the Western Caribbean. Obviously, it didn't do it in the deterministic run here at the 240 hour of our 850 millibar cyclonic vorticity. But if I run it out, you could see, I guarantee it. You put it into La La Land, I guarantee it. It's going to over amplify something every time. So that's why you see a lot of folks, they'll post that kind of stuff and they have absolutely no idea what the hell they're talking about when they do it. They think it's viable. And some of the people that actually study this stuff, not an expert by any means, but if you just apply yourself and study this stuff, you look at that and be like, yeah, okay, sure that's going to be that way. And then you just kind of point, laugh, and unfollow. So what we have here is our Euro and GFS, Euro on the left, GFS on the right. This is our deep layer wind shear. And I really want to show this because this shows the winds between about 5,000 feet and 40,000 feet above the ocean surface. And as you could see, there is a great amount of increasing shear here, especially getting over portions of Florida. Well, if you also notice, take a look at the GFS. I mean, that's just dumb amounts of shear. And if you also notice, the Euro is starting to slide that subtropical jet stream further and further to the south. And now that subtropical jet stream is over the entirety of the Bahamas and the majority of Cuba. So it's slid far enough south, and as you could see, the GFS is in pretty decent agreement with that particular scenario. That's why it's very difficult for me to believe that even if we were to try to get anything to develop down there in the Caribbean, I mean, you're going to have to play the real specific and intricate timing if you want to get it into anything, at least of significance at this time. I don't see it. Even though there's a low chance in week 2, week 3, obviously we can't see out that far in week 3 with these models. But as far as like trying to find something to organize at least over the next 10 days, which would potentially lead to, you would think you'd see the seed of it. So this way you could get through week 2, and I don't see the seed. I don't. I mean, whatever with the GFS. The GFS is always doing that at this time of year. So you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, you're seed happy. Because it's always going to be trying to pop something. It'll get it up to about 258, 264, somewhere in that range, and then boom, it'll throw it back to well into the 300-hour range before development, and you'll just sit there and keep chasing it. It chases its tail constantly. All right, jumping out to the other side of the world, all we have right now is Invest 92A. We have nothing in the Eastern, nothing in the Central, and nothing in the Western Pacific. Right now, all we have is Invest 92A here into parts of the Arabian Sea, and I still want to call this Mothra. The tropical cyclone that made landfall there into India yesterday, I think it was yesterday. As you could see, still a nice swirl of clouds over the country, over the central portions of the country. All right, now, I am going to, let's see, we'll get rid of all those notifications. Now, one thing that I want to do is I want to play this. This is from Andrew Holness. He is the Prime Minister of Jamaica. As you can see, this is aerial shots of St. Elizabeth Parish in the area of the landfall. I don't have to push play on this to tell you exactly what you're about ready to see. The still shot image explains it all. Now let's hit play. Look at the catastrophic damage. I mean, I see blocks where there's nothing left. Some homes were able to survive, but there's considerable damage. I do know of 90% of the buildings in the area in and around Black River are completely infrastructural major damage. And look, it just goes and goes and goes. Yes, there's one here and there. But for the most part, look at the damage. It's catastrophic. It really is. Like we're looking into that person's living room. These big, huge homes, just done. They're uninhabitable. Look at the trees. They're all snapped. Everything's laid down. You don't see a single tree that is left kind of untouched. Everything is laid down. Now, this is kind of, I wish they'd zoom out a little bit, but again, they're trying to get as much detail as they can with some of these damage estimates. And it's crazy. No matter, we're still going. It's just mile after mile after mile after mile. And if you guys look down here at the bottom, we're only like 2 minutes in. This video, as far as the flight is concerned, goes all the way to what? Let's see, we've landed, coming in for the landing, and then we talked to some people. And this is Blacktown River, or Black River. I'll just let that speak for itself. That town's pretty much wiped off the map. And I kind of heard that from the mayor's mouth himself. Watching some of the press conferences, the official press conferences this afternoon. You look in the background. There's no trees, folks. There's one. It ain't got no leaves on it. Probably missing half its bark. But the rest of them, gone. All the banana trees, all the agriculture, your coconut trees, gone. Gone. It's sad. It's depressing. So I'm about done watching that because I know what that feels like. Folks, if you can, please help them. If you have any ways and means, even if it's donating a little bit of time in areas that are collecting supplies for them, please help them. I beg of you, because you look at that, there are so many people right now that are sleeping out into the elements, that are going to be exposed to the elements, and they have all of their supplies there in the Black River. They had them in containers, they had them in buildings. Well, they're all gone. The container is gone, the building is gone, the tax collector's office is gone, the courthouse is gone, the post office is gone, the hospital is gone. I could just go on and on and on. Gone. The markets, they're all gone. So please keep them in your thoughts and prayers, and give them any help that you have available to you. All right, everybody. I am going to check. Have you seen our CDO check? No. Actually, just looking at the infrared, there is a pretty decent CDO on it. We can come over here to Sierra and our satellite. I mean, it's pretty decent. It's pretty decent. There's a decent CDO on that. It's got some power. It's trying to come back. There's no question about it. It's trying to come back. But it looks like that it's going to take at least enough of the time to hopefully get out away from the San Salvador there, and Long Island, Crooked Island, and I think it was Rum Key, just to get away from those islands. And then if it wants to do what it wants to do, at least it's out into the open waters. That's that. We've already looked at enough death and destruction that I am desperately waiting for the final advisory on this damn storm. We'll never have to talk about it again as far as forecasts are concerned. May talk about it. We'll definitely be talking about it and addressing some of our questions in our end of the season trivia live stream special that we do, where we create 15, 20 questions throughout the season, and kind of throw it in. And the quickest that answers with a multiple choice, you get more points. It's kind of like the whole bar thing, which is pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. We've done it the last few years, and got some pretty good feedback on it. People found it pretty fun, and I will say this: there could be some pretty knowledgeable professionals in there taking the running around playing the game as well. So it may, depending on what's going on and schedules and stuff, it may not be the easiest thing in the world to get up there into some of the top ranks, because it can get quite interesting if you start getting folks with graduate's degrees and doctors in meteorology and stuff like that, just screwing around playing the game. It could get a little tough on trying to get up there in the top 3 or so. It may not be the easiest thing in the world. Yeah, no, they're actually, weather alert, they're actually even colder than that on the cloud tops. If we go to Nesdis, you could see there. I would say they're even colder than that, honestly, in some of the bursts. Yeah, but then again, I mean, this storm's going to do what it wants to do. I'm waiting on with all the satellite imagery that we've got and everything. I'm waiting on the recon. Unfortunately, the recon is not going to reach the storm during this live. And speaking of that, I may go live at 10:45 tonight. I may not. I probably will, but don't be surprised if I don't. I'm not going to lie to you. I've been stalking this damn thing for days, and I'm tired. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm tired. Running 4 lives a day, and then some logistics in the background afterwards, and all this other stuff, tracking this, tracking that, grabbing data here, grabbing data there, trying to get to, participate in press conferences and updates. And yeah, all right, I'm tired. I'm not going to lie. This storm has definitely taken a toll. Though I can't say a thing about, being tired, because these folks here are just now beginning the rebuilding process and the recovery process. So that's probably going to be my motivation for 10:45, but it's all really going to depend upon how I feel come up to about the last minute. If I'm like falling asleep on the, like half asleep on the couch like I was last night, okay, maybe. I may take a night off because of the fact that it's likely going to be only San Salvador that is going to be taking the major impact of that, and it is likely that we lose our tropical storm warnings with the Turks and Caicos. So, but regardless what happens, I'll be live tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. just to go over the stuff in the nighttime hours and get ready for the folks there in Bermuda. Tomorrow being, the day of impact for Bermuda, and then Melissa's going to be taken off the board. So we'll be live on Friday, but once we get to November 1st, once we start Saturday, I have no idea. It'll only be up to whether we get something on the outlook with a 40% chance of development or more or higher. Then we'll come back live. Otherwise than that, we're not going to waste y'all's time with sitting here talking about, hey, look, we've got something on the global tropics outlook or the hazards outlook that is not even showing up on the ensembles. Want to talk about it? We could sit here and twiddle our thumbs. Well, I ain't going to waste our time. So I'm not going to waste your time, and I'm not going to waste my time. So time is very valuable to me. So, all right, everybody, I am going to go ahead and sign off here for this evening. Again, if I am going live, I'll try to let y'all know. I'll set an event. It's really all, honestly, it's going to be what I see after I get off of this live and go back to getting media reports and updates. Now that the sun is going down, the reports are going to start to dwindle. So I really want to try to get as much information as I possibly can before we hit that nighttime hour, and then things kind of suspend until tomorrow. You can't see, and there's so much damage that you don't dare try to get out and about. So, all right, everybody, have a wonderful evening, and we will talk to you again soon. Bye for now.